This video takes you deep into the world of classic American coins, where history lives inside small copper pieces. United States 1934 D Wheat Penny opens a window into the Great Depression era. The 1935 D and 1936 D Wheat Pennies reflect a nation slowly rebuilding itself. The 1938 Wheat Penny marks the final years of the iconic design. The 1956 D and 1958 Wheat Pennies represent the end of an era before major changes arrived. Watch till the very end because each 1-cent coin reveals value history and hidden details that most people never notice. And by the end, you will never look at a wheat penny the same way again. 1934 D Wheat Penny 1 cent. Imagine holding a small brown coin in your hand that once traveled through the heart of America during one of the most difficult decades in the nation's history. A coin that passed through the hands of farmers, factory workers, shopkeepers, and families struggling to survive the Great Depression. This is the United States 1934 D Wheat Penny 1 cent. And it is far more than just old copper. It is a silent witness to resilience, hardship, and hope. Welcome to Royal Coin Value USA, where every coin tells a forgotten story. The year 1934 sits deep inside the Great Depression, a time when jobs were scarce, money was tight, and every single cent mattered. In those days, a penny could buy real things, and the sound of copper coins carried meaning. The 1934 D Wheat Penny was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date, and it represents the Western expansion of U.S. coin production during a time when the nation was trying to recover from economic collapse. On the obverse of the coin is the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909 to honor Lincoln's 100th birthday. By 1934, this portrait had already become a symbol of trust and stability. Lincoln's calm, thoughtful expression on the penny offered reassurance to a nation that desperately needed it. The words "In God We Trust" appear above his head. Liberty is placed to the left, and the date 1934 with the D mint mark appears to the right, grounding the coin firmly in its historical moment. The reverse of the 1934 D penny features the classic wheat ears design, with two stylized stalks of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above them is the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one. This design was chosen to reflect America's agricultural roots and the importance of hard work, cooperation, and unity. During the Depression, wheat was not just a symbol, it was survival, and this made the design deeply meaningful to the people who used these coins every day. The 1934 D Wheat Penny was struck in bronze composed of 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc, giving it a warm reddish-brown color when new. Over time, circulation, exposure, and handling caused many examples to darken or develop patina. Coins that survived with strong original color, smooth surfaces, and minimal wear are far more desirable today, especially those that retain red or red-brown tones. In circulation, these pennies worked hard buying bread, milk, newspapers, and simple necessities. They fell into pockets, jars, drawers, and floorboards, and many were worn nearly smooth by constant use. Because of this, truly well-preserved 1934 D Wheat Pennies are not as common as their original mintage might suggest. Condition plays a major role in value, and collectors pay close attention to detail, sharpness, and overall eye appeal. Uncirculated examples of the 1934 D Wheat Penny show crisp wheat lines, full lettering, and clear details in Lincoln's hair coat and facial features. These coins often display strong luster and attractive coloration, and when certified by professional grading services, they can command significant premiums compared to circulated pieces. High-grade examples are especially sought after by collectors building complete wheat penny sets. Era coins add an extra layer of excitement to the 1934 D story. Off-center strikes, weak strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and other minting anomalies can dramatically increase collector interest and value. These errors were unintentional mistakes made during production, and once released, they became rare survivors that collectors actively search for today. What makes the 1934 D Wheat Penny truly special is not just its age or copper content, but its historical context. This coin circulated during a period when Americans were learning to endure, adapt, and rebuild. It passed through a world without credit cards, digital payments, or safety nets. Every cent counted, and every coin carried weight both literally and emotionally. At Royal Coin Value USA, we believe coins like the 1934 Wheat Penny deserve attention, because they connect us directly to real lives, real struggles, and real history. When you hold this penny, you are touching the same metal that once helped families survive the hardest economic era the United States has ever faced. So if you ever come across a 1934 Wheat Penny, take a moment to look closely at it. Notice the wheat ears, the worn edges, the aged copper surface. This is not just a 1-cent coin, it is a survivor of the Great Depression, a symbol of perseverance, and a reminder that even the smallest pieces of money can carry the greatest stories. Keep searching, keep learning, and remember that history often hides in the palm of your hand, right here at Royal Coin Value USA. 1935 Wheat Penny 1 cent. Imagine holding a simple brown copper penny in your hand and realizing that this small coin once moved through America during a time when the nation was slowly trying to stand back up after one of its darkest economic chapters. The United States 1935 Wheat Penny 1 cent is not just old pocket change, it is a living reminder of recovery, patience, and resilience. And this is where its story truly begins here on Royal Coin Value USA. The year 1935 came at a turning point in American history. The Great Depression had not ended, but the worst years were beginning to fade. Jobs were still scarce, families were still careful with money, and every single cent still mattered. When the Denver Mint struck the 1935 Wheat Penny, marked by the small d beneath the date, it produced a coin meant for heavy circulation, because Americans depended on coins like this for everyday survival. This penny traveled through grocery stores, farms, factories, and corner shops, carrying real purchasing power and real meaning. On the obverse of the coin, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that had already been in use for more than 2 decades, by 1935. Lincoln's calm, steady expression represented honesty, unity, and endurance, qualities the American people desperately needed at the time. Above his head appear the words "In God we trust." To the left is liberty, and to the right the date 1935, followed by the Denver Mint mark, which quietly tells us where this coin was born. The reverse of the 1935 Wheat Penny features the classic wheat ears design that collectors around the world recognize instantly. 2 wheat stalks frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum placed above. During the 1930s, wheat symbolized hard work, agriculture, and survival. For families struggling to put food on the table, this design was not decorative, it was deeply personal. This penny was struck in bronze with 95% copper, giving it a warm reddish tone when new. Over decades of circulation, exposure, and handling, many examples darkened or developed brown patina. Pennies that survived with strong original colors, smooth surfaces, and minimal wear are far scarcer today than people might expect. Condition plays a critical role in determining value, and collectors carefully examine every detail when evaluating a 1935 Wheat Penny. In circulated condition, most 1935 Wheat pennies show wear on Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and coat, as well as flattened wheat lines on the reverse. These circulated coins are still treasured as historical artifacts, even when their market value remains modest. However, uncirculated examples tell a very different story. Coins that retain sharp wheat ears, full lettering, and strong luster are highly desirable, especially when certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. High-grade uncirculated 1935 Wheat pennies are increasingly difficult to find because so many were used heavily during the Depression era. Coins graded MS65 and higher can command strong premiums, especially when they retain red or red-brown color. Registry set collectors often compete for the finest known examples, pushing prices far beyond what most people would ever expect for a 1-cent coin. Era coins add another layer of excitement to the 1935 Wheat Penny story. Off-center strikes, weak strikes, die cracks, lamination errors, and repunched mint marks occasionally appear, and when they do, they attract serious collector attention. These minting mistakes were never meant to exist, which makes surviving examples rare and valuable depending on severity, eye appeal, and condition. What truly sets the 1935 Wheat Penny apart is the moment in history it represents. This coin circulated during a fragile recovery when Americans were learning to hope again while still living cautiously. It passed through hands that understood the value of a single cent and treated money with respect born from hardship. Every scratch and worn edge tells a silent story of use, necessity, and survival. At Royal Coin Value USA, we believe coins like the 1935 Wheat Penny deserve more than a quick glance. They deserve understanding, appreciation, and curiosity. When you hold this penny, you are holding a piece of America's recovery, a symbol of patience and determination forged in copper and carried through time. So if you ever find a 1935 Wheat Penny in a collection drawer or old jar, do not overlook it. Study its surfaces, check its details, and imagine the journey it has taken. This is not just a 1-cent coin. It is a survivor of history, a witness to resilience, and a reminder that even the smallest denomination can carry the greatest legacy. Right here on Royal Coin Value USA. 1936 Wheat Penny 1 cent. Imagine holding a small copper penny in your hand and realizing that this simple coin once moved through America at a moment when the nation was slowly rebuilding confidence and strength after years of struggle. The United States 1936 Wheat Penny 1 cent is not just old change, it is a symbol of recovery, determination, and quiet progress. And this is where its story begins here on Royal Coin Value USA. The year 1936 marked a time when the worst days of the Great Depression were beginning to pass, but life was still far from easy. Employment was improving, but families remained careful with money, and every cent continued to matter. The Denver Mint struck the 1936 Wheat Penny to meet the demands of everyday commerce, and the small D mint mark beneath the date quietly identifies this coin as part of that Western minting effort during a crucial period of American recovery. On the obverse of the coin, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. By 1936, Lincoln's image on the penny had become a steady, reassuring presence for the American people. His calm expression represented unity, honesty, and perseverance, values that resonated deeply with citizens rebuilding their lives. Above Lincoln's head are the words in God we trust, with liberty to the left, and the date 1936, with the D mint mark to the right, anchoring the coin firmly in its historical era. The reverse of the 1936 Wheat Penny features the iconic wheat ears design that defined the penny for half a century. Two wheat stalks frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, while E pluribus unum appears above. Wheat symbolized agriculture, labor, and survival, and during the 1930s it represented the backbone of the nation. For many Americans, this imagery was not symbolic art, it reflected daily reality. This penny was struck in bronze with 95% copper, which gave it a bright reddish tone when freshly minted. Over decades of circulation and exposure, most examples darkened to red-brown or deep brown. Coins that survived with original luster, minimal wear, and strong eye appeal are far scarcer today and highly valued by collectors who understand how heavily these coins circulated during the recovery years. In circulated condition, most 1936 Wheat pennies show wear on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and coat, along with softened wheat lines on the reverse. These worn coins still hold historical value even when market value remains modest. Uncirculated examples, however, tell a different story. Sharp details, strong wheat lines, full lettering, and original luster make these coins stand out, and they are often candidates for professional grading. Certified uncirculated 1936 Wheat pennies, graded MS65 or higher, can command strong premiums, especially those with red or red-brown color. Registry set collectors actively seek high-grade examples to complete wheat penny collections, and competition for the finest pieces continues to grow as supply remains limited. Era coins bring an added layer of intrigue to the 1936 Wheat penny. Off-center strikes, die cracks, weak strikes, and repunched mint marks occasionally appear, and when confirmed, they can significantly increase collector interest and value. These errors were accidental products of the minting process, and their survival makes them desirable to specialists who focus on mint anomalies. What truly defines the 1936 Wheat penny is the era it represents. This coin circulated during a period of cautious optimism, when Americans were beginning to believe in a better future, while still remembering hard lessons from the past. It passed through hands that valued thrift, responsibility, and persistence. Each worn surface tells a story of use, necessity, and endurance. At Royal Coin Value USA, we believe coins like the 1936 Wheat penny deserve more than a quick look. They deserve appreciation, understanding, and respect. When you hold this penny, you are holding a piece of America's recovery, a reminder that progress is built slowly, one step at a time, just like 1 cent at a time. So if you ever come across a 1936 wheat penny, take a moment to examine it closely. Look at the details, feel the weight, and imagine the journey it has taken through history. This is not just a 1-cent coin. It is a quiet witness to resilience, recovery, and hope, and it continues to tell its story today right here on Royal Coin Value USA. 1938 Wheat Penny 1 cent. Imagine holding a humble copper penny in your hand and realizing that this small coin marks the final chapter of one of the most beloved designs in American coin history. The United States 1938 Wheat Penny 1 cent is not just another old penny, it is the closing page of an era that lasted nearly 50 years. And this is where its story unfolds here on Royal Coin Value USA. The year 1938 stands at a meaningful crossroads in American history. The nation was slowly emerging from the long shadow of the Great Depression and looking ahead to a future that promised change, progress, and new challenges. It was also the final year that the famous wheat ears design would appear on the Lincoln cent, before being replaced in 1939 by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Because of this, the 1938 wheat penny carries special significance as the end of a classic design that had accompanied Americans through wars, economic hardship, and recovery. On the obverse of the coin is the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. By 1938, Lincoln's image had become deeply ingrained in American daily life. His steady, thoughtful expression symbolized unity, leadership, and moral strength, qualities that resonated with a nation shaped by adversity. Above Lincoln's head are the words "In God We Trust." To the left appears liberty, and to the right the date 1938, anchoring this coin firmly in its historic moment. The reverse of the 1938 wheat penny features the iconic twin wheat ears framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum above. This design represented agriculture, abundance, and hard work, values that defined the American spirit for generations. Knowing that 1938 was the final year of this reverse gives the coin an added emotional weight, because it represents the closing of a familiar chapter in everyday American life. The 1938 wheat penny was struck in bronze, composed of 95% copper, giving it a bright reddish appearance when new. Over decades of circulation, many examples developed red-brown or deep brown tones as a result of handling and exposure. Pennies that survived with strong original color, clean surfaces, and minimal wear are far more desirable today, especially those that retain red or red-brown luster. In circulated condition, most 1938 wheat pennies show wear on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and coat, along with softened wheat lines on the reverse. These circulated examples remain popular with collectors because of their historical importance, even when their market value stays modest. However, uncirculated coins tell a very different story. Sharp details, full wheat lines, crisp lettering, and original mint luster make these coins stand out, and they are highly sought after by collectors completing wheat penny sets. High-grade uncirculated 1938 wheat pennies, certified by professional grading services, such as PCGS or NGC, can command strong premiums, especially those graded MS65 or higher. Because this was the final year of the wheat design, collectors often place special emphasis on obtaining the best possible example, making top-grade coins especially competitive in the marketplace. Era coins add another layer of excitement to the 1938 wheat penny. Off-center strikes, die cracks, weak strikes, and other minting anomalies occasionally appear, and when authenticated, they can significantly increase collector interest and value. These errors were unintended results of the minting process, and their survival makes them rare and fascinating to specialists. What truly makes the 1938 wheat penny special is the role it plays in American numismatic history. This coin circulated during a time of cautious optimism and also marked the end of a design that millions of Americans had grown up with. It passed through countless hands, from shop counters to kitchen tables, serving as a trusted unit of exchange in everyday life. At Royal Coin Value USA, we believe coins like the 1938 wheat penny deserve attention because they represent more than metal and date. They represent continuity, change, and the quiet passage of time. When you hold this penny, you are holding the final echo of the wheat ears era, a design that shaped generations of collectors and citizens alike. So if you ever come across a 1938 wheat penny, take a moment to pause and look closely. Notice the wheat ears, the aged copper surface, and the familiar portrait of Lincoln. This is not just a 1-cent coin. It is the final chapter of a classic American story, a symbol of transition, and a reminder that even small coins can carry lasting legacy right here on Royal Coin Value USA. 1956 Day Wheat Penny 1 cent. Imagine holding a small copper penny in your hand and realizing that this simple coin once moved through America during a time of confidence growth and post-war optimism. The United States 1956 D Wheat Penny 1 cent is not just an old piece of change, it is a reflection of a nation enjoying stability after years of sacrifice. And this is where its story comes to life here on Royal Coin Value USA. The year 1956 belonged to an era very different from the Depression years that shaped earlier wheat pennies. America was thriving industries, where booming families were growing, and daily life was filled with hope for the future. The Denver Mint struck the 1956 D Wheat Penny to supply the expanding economy, and the small D mint mark beneath the date quietly identifies its place of origin. These pennies were produced in large numbers and circulated widely, making them familiar to millions of Americans. On the obverse of the coin is the well-known portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. By 1956, Lincoln's image had become one of the most recognized faces in the nation. His steady, thoughtful expression represented unity, honesty, and leadership values that continued to resonate strongly during the post-war years. Above his head are the words "In God we trust, with liberty" to the left, and the date 1956 followed by the D mint mark to the right, grounding the coin in its historical moment. The reverse of the 1956 D Wheat Penny features the classic wheat ears design that had defined the Lincoln cent since 1909. Two wheat stalks frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum above. Even in the prosperous 1950s, this design continued to symbolize hard work, abundance, and the agricultural roots of the nation. The 1956 D Wheat Penny was struck in bronze, with 95% copper, giving it a bright reddish color when freshly minted. Because these coins circulated during a time of heavy use, many examples show wear, dulling, and surface marks. Pennies that survived with original luster, minimal contact marks, and strong eye appeal are more desirable today, especially those that retain red or red-brown coloration. In circulated condition, most 1956 D Wheat Pennies show wear on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and coat, as well as flattened wheat lines on the reverse. These circulated coins are extremely common and generally valued close to face value. However, uncirculated examples tell a different story. Coins that retain sharp details, full wheat lines, crisp lettering, and original mint luster stand out and attract collector interest. High-grade uncirculated 1956 D Wheat Pennies, certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, can command modest premiums, especially those graded MS65 or higher, with strong eye appeal. While not rare, these coins are essential for collectors completing full wheat penny sets and registry collections, where condition matters greatly. Era coins add excitement to the story of the 1956 D Wheat Penny. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, and die cracks occasionally appear, and when confirmed, they can bring increased value depending on severity and overall appearance. These minting errors provide a fascinating glimpse into the production process and offer collectors something truly unique. What makes the 1956 D Wheat Penny special is its place near the end of the wheat penny era. Just 2 years later, in 1958, the wheat design would be retired and replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. This places the 1956 D penny among the final issues of a design that served the nation for nearly 50 years. At Royal Coin Value USA, we believe coins like the 1956 D Wheat Penny deserve appreciation because they connect us to a time of growth, optimism, and everyday life in mid-20th century America. When you hold this penny, you are holding a small piece of a confident nation moving forward while still honoring its traditions. So if you ever come across a 1956 D Wheat Penny, take a moment to examine it closely. Look at the wheat ears, the copper tone, and the familiar portrait of Lincoln. This is not just a 1 cent coin. It is a reminder of America's post-war prosperity and the final years of a beloved design, and it continues to tell its story today right here on Royal Coin Value USA. 1958 Wheat Penny 1 cent. Imagine holding a small copper penny in your hand and realizing that this single coin represents the final heartbeat of a design that shaped American pockets for nearly half a century. The United States 1958 Wheat Penny 1 cent is not just another old coin, it is the last chapter of a legendary era. And this is where its story truly comes alive here on Royal Coin Value USA. The year 1958 holds a special place in American numismatic history because it marked the final year of the iconic wheat ears reverse that had been used on the Lincoln cent since 1909. For almost 50 years, these wheat pennies traveled through war's economic hardship, recovery, and prosperity. By 1958, America was confident, strong, and looking toward the future. And yet this coin quietly carried the legacy of generations past. On the obverse of the 1958 wheat penny is the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image had become a symbol of stability, honesty, and national unity. By this time, his face on the penny was deeply embedded in everyday American life. Above Lincoln's head appear the words "In God We Trust" with liberty to the left, and the date 1958 to the right, anchoring the coin in its historic final moment. The reverse of the 1958 wheat penny features the classic twin wheat ears design, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum above. This design symbolized agriculture, hard work, and abundance values that defined the American spirit for decades. Knowing that this was the final year this design would ever be struck gives the 1958 wheat penny a unique emotional and historical importance. The 1958 wheat penny was struck in bronze, with 95% copper, giving it a bright reddish tone when new. Because these coins circulated heavily, many examples today show wear, surface marks, and darkened color. Pennies that survived with original luster, smooth surfaces, and minimal wear are significantly more desirable, especially those that retain red or red-brown color. In circulated condition, most 1958 wheat pennies show wear on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and coat, along with softened wheat lines on the reverse. These circulated examples are common but still cherished because of their status as the final wheat penny. Uncirculated examples, however, are where collector interest truly rises. Coins with sharp details, full wheat lines, crisp lettering, and strong luster stand out and attract serious attention. High-grade uncirculated 1958 wheat pennies, certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, can command notable premiums, especially those graded MS65 or higher. Collectors building complete wheat penny sets often seek the finest possible example of the final year, making competition for top-quality coins strong and persistent. Era coins add another fascinating dimension to the 1958 wheat penny story. Off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other minting anomalies occasionally appear, and when authenticated, they can bring significant value depending on severity and eye appeal. These errors are especially desirable because they occurred during the final production year of a historic design. What truly makes the 1958 wheat penny special is what it represents. This coin did not just circulate as money, it marked the end of an era. In 1959, the reverse design would change to the Lincoln Memorial, signaling a new chapter in American coinage. This makes the 1958 wheat penny a symbolic farewell to a design that had served the nation faithfully for decades. At Royal Coin Value USA, we believe coins like the 1958 wheat penny deserve deep appreciation because they connect us to the past while reminding us of change. When you hold this penny, you are holding the final echo of the wheat ears era, a design that witnessed America's growth, struggles, and triumphs. So if you ever come across a 1958 wheat penny, take a moment to pause and look closely. Notice the wheat ears, the aged copper surface, and the familiar portrait of Lincoln. This is not just a 1 cent coin. It is the last chapter of a legendary American story, and a reminder that even the smallest coins can carry the greatest legacy, right here on Royal Coin Value USA.